Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the pYanodons playthrough. Alright, I'm going to start an episode here because something's about to happen. This is about to die. And I wanted to capture at least some of my current progress here. There we go. 10 hours. This was a research, I do the research, then I find a problem, I cut it off. That's what happened there. So, yeah, it's been going for a while. I don't know. 12 hours? Yeah, I just been, I'm doing this and that. Went out for a walk, eat dinner, do this, file some paperwork, whatever the hell, the usual stuff. So this thing's been running. So I did accomplish quite a bit. Let's talk about all the things that I had to do. Now, the first thing that I have here is production issues aren't always related to not enough. It could be related to the LTN delivery and the combinator setup. One thing I did, I did this off screen. I'm a little freaking pissed because I keyed this up and I wasn't recording. And I don't know, I guess I forgot to press the button or something. Well, I have another syngas build on top of this one. And the reason for that is because I didn't realize that the coal gas here does not require hot air. So I built this, I pulled the syngas out of this build thinking I was going to do syngas here and coal gas here. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't realize that the recipe didn't require hot air for coal gas. So now I have a hot air build here doing nothing. Well, I already built this stupid thing. So the good thing is that the coal bed gas here, plus filtration and drills, we've got 2 syngas builds. I'm okay with that. Now, I did talk about trying to combine all these into one big block. That will happen, but I want to get more research unlocked because things change. So, as things change, okay, now I'm going to redo this, redo that, redo this. But for now, I want to test these things out and see if I've got this down. Now, I was talking about the supply issue and provide and request issues here. So this is an LTN thing, and LTN isn't the problem. The problem is that things change and you have to circle back on every single freaking combinator to deal with these lower thresholds, provide and request. So as things start to ramp up, and now that we're in PyScience 3 land here, I'm starting to see these problems. So look at that. Now we're producing, this is a backup system here, which I probably don't need anymore. So I probably have to pull it. I can trust this now, or it's here. I can pull this one out now. So I have 2,000 filtration media, and we get better recipes coming up here using the nanofibrils, which isn't that bad to make. The nanofibrils were probably the easiest thing I've done in a long time. So we have this one, which is 200, doubling what I have now. Bam, I'm gonna set this up. Basically, this machine comes out. We don't need the acrolein anymore for making this thing. Now, don't think you're not gonna need the acrolein or the subdenier, because you do. And these are, see here, biofilm. Ooh, 75. Oh my gosh. And then, oh, look at this. Look at this stuff. We got aramid fiber of 20. So the subdenier, you definitely need it. So we do need an acrolein build. Look at this thing cranking along here. So the supply issue is I had this limited to 400. I'm like, why? Okay, screw that. Let's max this thing out, because I can crank out 100 and eventually 200. Let's go over to the sodium hydroxide to close this concept out. And that was a problem as well. I was able to double this. Slaked lime is doubled. And I added, I think, 1 chem plant here for the sodium hydroxide. Before I couldn't feed 3. It was like 2.5. Now I can feed 4. Look at this. Sucker's coming in to get a 350. Here's the other issue with LTN. And it's not an issue with LTN. It's an issue with the fact that you have to circle back on all these builds here. I wasn't supplying enough salt and lime to make the slaked lime, so this was shutting down on me. So here I am going, oh great, I don't have this. So enough sodium hydroxide on the map. So now I have a massive amount of supply here. Sodium hydroxide south, at least for now. By the way, I thought I fixed this thing, but they buffed the pressure pumps. I thought I fixed this in my 1.1. Apparently I didn't. So now I have about 340 efficiency modules, well, let's say 310 because I had 30 in the case. I pulled 155 of these things off the map because they buffed them. So it's 200 pressurized air in 1 second. So to give you an idea of what that reduction is, here's a hot air build. It used to be 6 to 2. Now it's 1 to 2. So that's amazing. Now, of course, methanol, we're revisiting this, and this comes down to that recipe thing where, oh, I have a recipe for this, and I can do it this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. And you kind of get lost in the sauce. So what I was doing is, I'm running out of syngas, then I'm running out of hydrogen chloride because the syngas build was weak, and the hydrogen chloride is based on byproducts. So it's a secondary, or, you know, it's like, oh, you make something and you get this. And yeah, you can consume it or vent it. Well, I tried to supplement this with the olefins here. Then I did an olefin build by bringing aromatics in, aromatics to olefins. So I had a problem with both of these things now. And I'm like, holy crap. So I think with the syngas build now, the two of them, and I have a new recipe for hydrogen chloride, which doesn't rely on freaking guts from animals, which is sporadic. And that is right down here. I don't know if this recipe existed before, but when I found it, I'm like, well, I'm going to set this sucker up. Now, usually this boric acid build here is usually just sitting. Now, this is 500 boric acid times 2 for 1,000, but you'll notice that this takes 300. So that's 369. Now, I don't foresee this being used as much anymore, and if it is, that's fine. I got an extra 100 boric acid if a train comes by and picks this up. Now, boric acid is used for a few various things, but what's going to have to happen is this I'm going to eventually outpost to a patch. For example, I have this build here. So we have borax. You wash it, and then you get the clean stuff, right? So raw borax to borax, right? So here's the raw. Now, what I was going to do, this build, wherever it was, over here, yeah. So the boric acid here, I'm going to do this on site on another boric acid build, or borax. So a boric acid specific build right off a patch. When I was spinning up the KiteCalc Mark IIIs, I came up with a new strategy here, and that is direct feed. Now, this was not a problem before. When you build, machines and stuff for new projects, you find problems in other areas. When you do modules for alien stuff, you find problems on that side. So, and this is what I'm finding lately. So the Great Alien Sample is now being used for the alien spin-ups and, the KiteCalc 3s, like I mentioned. So what I'm doing now is direct feeding these basically here. I'm bringing in the materials because these things are so slow. So if you look at this Great Alien Sample here, you'll notice it's 20 freaking biosamples. Now, when I built this thing, I was like, well, yeah, I'll build it. Okay, I wanted to get the bees and, all that. And then it's like, oh, I have a part for PyScience 3. So you end up leaving it. Well, I revisited this sucker, and here's the result. All right, we're going to go to a new build here that I'm going to implement today. Look at this thing. Holy cow. The Augs. This sucker is going to save the day. I'm using a new sap recipe. Oh my gosh. This thing I've been holding off on because I've been trying to figure it out. This is a turd research I picked a while ago. And it's not, a lot of people are poo-pooing it on the Discord. Well, I don't think they're using Augs. So if you're using Augs for what I'm doing, because Augs are, in my opinion, the workhorse of this mod, you get so much out of it for so little input. And what I mean by little input, meaning it's low-level stuff. You don't have to create 10 industries to get one thing. The Coralexes I have assessed are horrible. And I'm using their skin for power. And let me talk about the Coralexes really quick here. We need 2 creatures to do a Coralex render, or just to make a Coralex. We need 3 fish inputs, so to speak. They eat fish. Then we need the fish food to feed the fish that feed the Coralexes. And then we have hydroslate, which is another fish input. So the Coralexes eat basically fish directly, fish indirectly, and fish indirectly times 2. So I'm calling it a 3 times the fish input for a meager amount of skin, which I'm relying on for freaking power, because glycerol needs the skin. Not only that, but we need manure bacteria from Augs, because we need the poop, and then also iron rods and sulfuric acid and sodium hydroxide for the fish hydroslate. Screw freaking Coralexes. They suck. Now, the crazy thing about the sap tree here is we need bone meal. Well, guess what we can get? From bones? Bone meal. This weird recipe kicks out fertilizer or it needs fertilizer. So, let's see. Let's go here. Yeah, it kicks out fertilizer and biomass. Now, I don't need the biomass. I'm just venting it. But we need to feed it. Let's see. We get... oh, yeah. So, we have to have a sap tree Mark 3, and there's a Mark 4 recipe eventually for this too, and you get a massive amount of sap from this. Now, turd researches are really good, but you have to be ready to implement them. And the good thing about this turd research is it didn't force me to use it. I could still use the sap extractors. Now, in order to feed these Augs the sap that they need, I would need probably 100 to 150, I don't even know, sap extractors, Mark 2 with Mark 3 modules. Ain't gonna happen. So I'm forced to implement this one. So what this does is it takes the module 3 and it breaks it down into this sap, 78 to 93. So yeah, you got a little RNG going on there. But the 78 is guaranteed. Holy cow. Then you get a sap Mark 3, a seed Mark 3, you know, in those numbers there. Now, it is a range on the sap. And that's the rub right there. So you have to have another little supplemental thing that I'm going to talk about. Now, it kicks out more fertilizer than you need. So what happens is the fertilizer has to go here. So we need bone meal, fertilizer, the seeds, and muddy sludge to create new Mark III trees. And that's what we're doing in the biohub. But you'll notice it's only 4 fertilizer every 40 seconds, whereas this one is, I think, 9 every 20. So you're plus 1 fertilizer on every craft here, which explains this belt going up to capture fertilizer. And then this sucker here is going to be priority 100, but I'm going to offer 1,000 to the network because I don't want the trains to come here until there's enough to pick up for whatever they're doing. So that's a new pickup, and look at this new freaking rail, man. Beautiful. So getting back to here, what happens is that we need the seeds, and it's 6 times 2, which is 12. And when I was testing this thing out here, oh, here's the output right here for the sap going on up. And it goes all the way up to here. I right-sized this. I had too many breeders, so this is simplified now. And I might be able to tighten this up a little more, but I think I'm going to leave it for now. Got the food, got the water, got the barreling, rendering, the breeding and rendering. Here, there's the caging. All these machines are going to be here to capture, to convert all these body parts into things we need. So what happens here is the seeds start to run out. Now, here is the sap seed, or it's sap 2 seeds. But remember that we have a % chance to get a certain amount here, which is here. So it's 5 to 10. Well, if you get a 5, you're going to be less on your seeds. So this thing will shut down. Now what we have to do is have these sap extractors just solely for sap. And I have a combinator, well, belt control here, a sense. So this is a hold all belt 2. This inserter will not work until there's no sap here. And then the seeds will go. So when the seeds get pulled out of the end process here, and I got to make sure that's on the right side of the belt. I can do a mini loader, you know, to side load or whatever and all that. So these seeds have to be prioritized over these seeds here. And that way it keeps flowing. Also, and then we have to stop the flow of seeds or sap from this. So this is going to be the first time I've implemented this here, which will be kind of fun. And then we got the muddy sludge and all that input. Now, we need bone marrow for this, if you didn't notice. And that is on this process here. That's what's coming in right from this direction. And guess what Augs give us? Bones. Well, the first thing that we're going to be doing here is bone marrow. Or bone meal, sorry. So we're going to take the bones from the Augs to feed that. And we're going to feed the bones from the Augs back to themselves via indirectly via sap. Any extra bones we're going to make into lard. We're going to convert it with steam. Then any extra brains we have is also lard. But I need the brains for the productivity for vat brain 1 and 2. So brains are prioritized. So this is a multifaceted, the reason for this is multifaceted. Number 1 is lard for oleochemicals right here. We're going to do this processed alien animal fat, glycerol. I'm trying to wean this base off of the the glycerol from skin and sodium hydroxide. What we're going to do is convert it into, well, we're going to bring nichrome in, but that nichrome build is massive. It's 2 smelters, and we're using moltens now, so I don't have to worry about this recipe anymore. So we're going to create 150 versus 50 glycerol. The Kite-Calc, or the Coralex build is going to not work. It's going to be available to provide the creatures for spin-ups, because I need that for the Coralex 3s, 4s eventually, right? You know, because you need the base one, I think. I'll have to look. But if anything, that Coralex build is going to get ripped, because I won't need the skin for that glycerol one and as much. Okay, because I think it'll run off of the regular build. But I'm not going to tear it out, because I don't want to lose power. So brains will go from this build here. We'll be supplementing the vat brain 1 and 2. And then any extra brains will be turned into lard, because we're going to need that, obviously, for here. But we get lard from the process, as well as extra bones will be made into lard. And that lard will be here. Hydrogen chloride, chlorine, and this one I did not know. Guts. Holy crap. Acetic acid. Are you kidding me? I just noticed this, and I don't know when this was. Another one I have to check on. So there we go, folks. We're going to do an Aug build today, and our Augs are going to save the base, or at least let me run research consistently, I think. That's the hope, at least. All right, let's get cracking and start this thing up. Alrighty. There it is. You know, you just never have enough freaking room. I can push this back all the way to here. This is just where I decided to put it for now. Meat, I don't need. It's, I mean, I think there's, oh, cyanic acid. And I'm already doing that, right, at the hub, or the body parts reclamation area. So I'm going to let that handle the meat. And also, I just don't want to deal with it here. So TSM is going to handle the meat and the blood. This is the brains. Oh no, skin. And it is gone. I had 2,200 skin in there. That's because the Bottlenecks problem, where, well, things are running now. I don't, oh, look at this. Yeah, see? First trying to click on skin for glycerol. Now, acrolein does run, you know, because the fish are running. So power is so dependent on skin, it's ridiculous. Which is why I'm doing this. Now, we've got the lardo going here. It's going to take a while to rip through this here. And the good thing is that this oleochemical alien animal fat, this, it only requires one nichrome. It used to be really tough to make it because it was plates. Now it's molten, so it's so nice to have that molten. Oh my god. So we have the regenerative steam on that. The oleochemicals, oh, you know what? I was going to do a vent. Well, here's the thing. I can put a pump here. And like I said, I might have to expand this because I want more machines here. This is just a baseline to try and get things up and running. See how things go. So 1900 and, oh, 582. So we're ripping through the guts pretty good here. I brought in the no ash. Oh my gosh, I love this stuff. The charcoal briquettes. There is no byproducts from that. One of the rare things in this game that doesn't have a byproduct. There's our acetic acid. I don't expect to get much, but it depends on how much this runs. So let's see, we got chlorine here. The only two places I'm making chlorine, I think, well, there's a couple, but they're all, like, again, this is a byproduct for chlorine. And we got a nice hydrogen chloride build here, or capture there. So basically the guts come into this case and get consumed. And what I'll probably do is 80% valves ahead of this. And the problem, you know what, this sucks. I didn't think this through well. It's fine. But I can't put a tank here because the LTN stop is in the way. So I'll have to go maybe right there. And then I usually do a 40K tank with an 80% valve to a sinkhole. So I will work on that when the time comes. I'm going to need more of these machines. So this isn't the final form. I just want to see how this thing runs. So 1700. Yeah, this is slow. So we need more of these things to get that glycerol there. And then so this is the I don't know if this is going to run at all, but you know, the biofactory for brains to lard. Then we got the bones, lard collection here, because see, I've got it going out and up and combining here, and then this is the capture case here. So the way I look at it is, if the oleochemicals, I'm not sure what I want to stop this process here. I've been thinking about it, and I don't know, maybe because the oleochemicals I do want, but right now the glycerol is the most important thing. So I may switch this later, depending on what power I decide, you know, like we're going to get nuclear power. Now, so I might do this may, right here, this sucker, I'm expecting it to stop the process when it backs up, the glycerol. But when research is running, that glycerol is going to be chewed up quick. One thing I wanted to mention, and that is the animal sample here. What I did, because I pulled the LTN train stop to pick up, I used to use ID2 for brain pickup. So I had an excess going to the case, and then that went to the the vat brain build. Well, now what I'm doing here is I have a specific brain capture case here. And it's, let's see here, request priority 100. So what's going to happen here, this is the main concern I have, is if I run out of brains, then I don't have the animal sample for research. So I don't want the vat brains to chew it up. So what's happening here is these two, I didn't realize, I remember now, the other build with the bones one, well, this is the copy paste from there. These two only run for all these slaughterhouses here. I think that's what they're called. Yeah. So they're so slow. It's like, oh, this whole row. So I remember I tried to double it before and it didn't go very well. Okay, that's just one. Let's go further down to here. Because I wanted to, you know, see how much I could push this thing. This is the trickle of body parts. And that's why I figure, well, let me see if I can jam this up, you know, and get cranking here. So look at this. These things are so fast with the Module 2s. It's ridiculous. Look how fast that is. That's insane. I screwed up and sideload. I had a full belt of sap, and I forgot that I'm side-loading the pups right here onto the sap belt. But you can see how much this is spitting out. That's crazy amount of body parts. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to let it fly. Heck with it. Let's see what happens. So we're collecting bones, as you can see. And the job here is to make lard. And voila. Lots of lard for the glycerol. Look at this. The pups aren't even hardly moving. Look at that. That's crazy. I mean, and Hellmod doesn't really know how to deal with these sometimes. It's a real pain. But, yeah, but I do have to get more cages. And the slaughterhouses aren't done yet. I'm getting two at a time. I try to build slow so the base doesn't go shut down on me. So, yeah, look at this. Look at the flowers going. All right. So, there we go. We got an Auog build. And we'll see. I'll keep an eye on this thing. What I'll do is I'll run this research. I think the advanced. This one, I keep saying advanced. It's the special small parts. This is the last one, like I said, that we ran. And I want to get this done. It is 1300 at 180. I'll run that. But then next episode, we're going to queue up a ton of stuff. And then that will allow me to test the base with these new additions here. The syngas, the sulfuric acid, all that good stuff. So I want to see how this thing runs with all the crap I did. Okay, so I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Auog, Uber Auog build. I hope I can keep feeding this thing. It's going to be nuts. All right, well, I better end it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.